is Alexander. Shabbat for three. Bingo!
Bud will get it for the win. He is hard to believe.
Here's Jordan.
Yes. The Magic, a 360 turn with the dribble. Magic down the middle. Gives underneath to Worthy. Slam dunk.
Third in the corner. Double fake.
What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another playoff recap post-game here for our 2022 NBA playoffs second round. Before we get started, please make sure to subscribe on YouTube at Dime Dropper Podcast, Apple Podcast. Leave a review if you'd like. Follow us on Spotify, and of course, to follow us on all social media platforms at Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok at Dime Dropper Pod. So I want to wish everybody, before we get started, a happy Mother's Day to all the incredible mothers we have out there in this world. Make sure, if you have a good relationship with your mom, you tell her how much you love her. And part of the reason why my Sixers Heat recap today won't be as thorough is because I was with some family for that. I did get to watch the Mavs Suns game, though, in depth, so I'll be able to go really hardcore into that one. But let's get started with the Miami Heat. By the way, if you think I'm being a bad Kings fan right now, that light you see behind me and it's flashing on me, that is from my LA Kings right now, up 2-0 in the beginning of the second period against the Oilers. Need this game to tie the series 2-2. So I'm excited. Hopefully we get this dub. Let's talk ball. Let's talk basketball, though. Let's start with the Miami Heat and the Philadelphia 76ers because I have less to say about that game. And I thought it was a really good performance by Philly. Obviously, Joel Embiid is back, second game back. Lowry, the same thing. And Lowry has not looked good so far, just making shots, or from a making shots perspective. Tonight, 3 for 10 from the field, 0 for 6 from deep. And the big story of the game tonight, the Miami Heat just could not hit their threes. You saw both teams play a little more zone than we're used to seeing in most NBA games. Thought the Sixers implemented that a bit last game, and you saw more of it today. And it kept the Heat on the perimeter for the most part, and they shot a lot of jump shots and did not make a lot of them, especially from three. 7 for 35 from deep on the game for Miami. They just could not hit a three. A team that's usually really good at shooting threes, has been shooting the three ball well in the playoffs. They couldn't find it. So shout out to the Sixers zone. And that's one thing I'll say about Glenn Rivers. When he was the Clippers coach, we did not go zone much at all. And it's probably an alternative that he should have thought about at times, but he's bringing it out now, and it's working. He's probably learned some things from his mistakes. I thought that Tyrese Maxey was really good all game, blowing by guys, hitting the three ball. He was 5 for 10 from the field, 2 for 5 from three, and got to the line 6 times, made all his free throws, 18 points for the young lad, who has been the second best player in the playoffs for the Sixers, in my opinion. But we did see a James Harden sighting tonight. Not a Plumber Jim sighting, a James Harden sighting tonight. He had maybe his best game of the playoffs thus far, probably the best game of the playoffs thus far, and a lot of it came in the second half. But I want to just talk a little bit more about the way the game went. So the first quarter, 30-28 in favor of Philly. I thought Jimmy Butler had yet another amazing game. He has just been electric in the playoffs. So good, so aggressive, gotten to the line so much. Tonight, he led all players in free throw attempts. Actually, no, he was tied with Embiid. Embiid went to the line 13 times, made 9 of them. Jimmy Butler went to the line 13 times and made 12 of them. I thought Jimmy Butler did a good job getting into the mid-range area, starting his move closer to the basket, being aggressive on certain guys. However, I still think he shot too many threes, 6 threes for Butler. And one of his new strategies is to shoot threes. Like his new three ball strategy is to like not jump up much at all when he shoots it. He doesn't elevate much on his three anymore. That's like how he's figured out his new release from three. And I still think it's whatever. It's not worthy of taking 6 threes in a game, especially in a playoff game. Because if you take away the three balls, he was 11 for 14 from the field. So that's pretty amazing. Mid-range, good footwork around the basket, got Joel Embiid in the air a couple of times. I thought he was good. I also thought Bam Adebayo was good, especially as the game went on. He was really trying to make life tough on Joel Embiid, was playing physical with him, fronting him as much as he could. And he had 21 points, 7 boards, and 4 assists. No blocks, though. 9 for 12 shooting and 3 for 3 from the line. So good for Adebayo. But yeah, Kyle Lowry, obviously he's been injured in this series, may not be 100%, probably isn't 100%. but he hasn't brought much in these 2 games in Philly. I thought another player that was great yet again tonight for the Sixers, and they played a 9-man rotation: Paul Reed, Shake Milton, Matisse Thybulle, and George Niang. And Niang was the only one of those players off the bench that was in double figures. He had 10 on 3 for 6 shooting and 2 for 5 from deep. So that was good. And I think the real difference in this game, besides the performance of James Harden in the end, was really the 3 ball throughout the night. 16 for 33 from the field from 3 for Philly. So that's 48.5%, nearly 50% from 3. While the Heat shot about the same amount and made less than half of those. And a lot of these were decent looks on both sides. Both teams playing zone a lot, getting good looks. And Tobias Harris, even though he only made 1, it was a big 3. It was later in the fourth quarter. And even though the Heat outscored the Sixers 29-25, we had a good fourth quarter going in. The Sixers just made the big plays at the right times. It just looked like the Heat kind of ran out of gas. They could not hit enough jump shots. Tyler Hero, for example, who has been great in the playoffs, 4 for 12 tonight, 1 of 5 from deep, only 11 points, but he did get 10 rebounds, just not enough. And then Gabe Vincent was 1 for 6 and 0 for 4 from deep, so that's tough as well. And then you had Victor Oladipo, who played 32 minutes. I actually thought he was okay. He was aggressive. He got to the line 10 times, and he has shot creation. That's something in his arsenal. 3 for 9 from the field tonight, though, 1 of 5 from deep. So even though he did score 15 points because he made 8 free throws, he wasn't great from the field. I still think he had a good impact on the game, though, overall, just because he's another guy that can create offense. But the plus-minus doesn't support that. He was minus 12, which is the worst of any Heat player. I don't think he was the worst of any Heat player, though. But let's talk about, as I said, Tyler Hero struggled. But Tobias Harris, in the fourth quarter, he made a left corner 3. That was big. And then another guy who played very well again for the second game in a row, and he did it in Game 6 against Toronto, Danny Green, even to the point where the fans started chanting his name. So Danny Green getting the Philly fans' approval, which ain't easy, and was hitting his open shots yet again tonight. 4 for 6 from the field, 3 of 4 from deep, 11 points. Every Philly starter was in double figures. Tobias with 13, only shot 10 times and made 6 of them, so live with that. 11 for Green. And Maxey, as I said, 18. Embiid. So I thought Embiid was good. I still think he's not 100% clearly. He's not posting up deep. He's getting, Adebayo fronting him was drawing him way out to try to get the ball. It's not the Embiid that we've seen this season, but for good reason, with the mask and whatever. He took some hard fouls, also committed some hard fouls. But overall, 24 points, 11 boards for him, 7 of 13 shooting, 9 of 13 from the line, 1 for 3 from deep. But the main man we got to talk about tonight, and it hurts me to talk about him, but you know me, I tell it how it is. James Harden, also known as, I'm not even going to call him Plumber Jim because he was James Harden tonight. It was awesome. The Heat are going to switch everything, and he was in his bag tonight. Blowing by guys, getting to the rim, a little bit of the foul baiting tactics, and sometimes he didn't get them, sometimes he did get them. He shot 10 free throws tonight, made 9 of them, and shot 10 threes tonight and made 6 of them. So that's the real difference maker because he hasn't been making his threes like that. He's been short on a lot of them. And tonight he was one-on-one. He was lulling them to sleep, getting into his step back, and he was making it. He made at least 3 step back threes, the classic Harden step back 3 that we became so accustomed to seeing in Houston. And he closed the game with big shot after big shot. You saw the emotion on his face. He really felt it. He felt like he was his old self again. And this Philadelphia 76ers behind, how many points did he have? 31 from Harden, 7 rebounds and 9 assists, even though he had 6 turnovers, was the player of the game, 8 for 18 shooting, 6 for 10 from deep, and 9 of 10 from the line. The Sixers did turn the ball over 16 times, but they were able to make up for it by winning the rebound battle. No, they didn't. They actually lost the rebound battle by 1. This by the 3 ball. They really used the 3 ball and made it. And the Heat didn't make it. Sometimes in today's NBA, it's just who makes more threes. And today was one of those games. 116-108 in favor of Philly. Thought the zone was good, and we're going to definitely see more of it in game 5. Big response by the 76ers, guys. 2 games at home. You know what they say? Kenny Smith always says it. The series doesn't start till a team loses at home. This series hasn't begun, but we got a 3-game series now to look forward to. PJ Tucker, 7 points tonight. 3 for 7 from the field. 5 fouls. Was in foul trouble. It was hard for him. Kyle Lowry, 6 points. Now, by the way, actually, no, it's not even worth saying on my podcast. I'm not going to stoop to a level. I was going to say something about Kyle Lowry relative to another all-time great, but I think Kyle Lowry is a great point guard for his era, but I don't see him as this all-time great. I don't see him as a Hall of Famer either. I think he may be the best player in Raptors history, greatest player in Raptors history for what he's done for that franchise, but I just don't see him as a Hall of Famer. I think he was a really good point guard for his era, top 10 in most years that he was good, not top 5 for me at all. He was the third best player on a championship team. You can argue second, but in the playoffs, he was third. And he's not a Hall of Famer to me. Not if Kevin Johnson isn't. Like, no way. I think Lowry's great. And not if Rondo isn't. I would have Rondo over him in the Hall of Fame too. Even though I think you can debate those two's careers. But Lowry also made the All-Star team a lot of times in a shitty East. The shittiest East we've ever had. Like, if Mike Conley was in the East those years, would he have made it? Because I think he would have. I don't think Lowry was much better than Conley for a lot of those years. That's my opinion, though. I had to see Conley in the West all the time, so. Anyway, Max Strus only got 5 shots off tonight, made 2 of them, both threes, 6 points. But they just didn't get much of a supporting cast. No starter for the Heat scored more than 7 points besides Adebayo and Jimmy Butler. And nobody outside of Oladipo scored more than 15 points outside of Jimmy Butler. Or nobody, period, scored more than 15 outside of Jimmy and Adebayo. Jimmy had 40 points, 6 assists, 2 steals, 2 blocks, 13 for 20, as I said. But now it's going to be really interesting. I think the adjustment the Heat have to make, just make shots. Lowry needs to play like a star. This is why they brought him in, not to shoot 3 for 10. And they need to carve this zone apart. A zone should not be so problematic for NBA players. Get Bam Adebayo on the high post, put PJ Tucker in the dunker spot or the deep corner if you want to keep him there, and then have Kyle Lowry at the top, Jimmy Butler. Oh, you know another, actually I have a better idea. Jimmy Butler in the high post and Bam at the dunker spot with PJ in the deep corner and then Strus on the wing. However, the only problem that is you typically like to have 2 guys on either side of the point guard when you're trying to break a zone down. So you can put Jimmy Butler on the wing and then Bam at the high post, PJ at the dunker or the short corner. Or not the short corner, the corner, deep corner. I think that's the adjustment. You got to just play basketball the right way, though, against the zone. Not this screen and roll nonsense that they think like they're still playing man. Like, I just don't like it. I think it's bad basketball. But anyways, let's move on. And also, if you're looking at this from a Sixers perspective, I think you got to be feeling really good because the momentum has shifted your way and Embiid hasn't looked his best. Harden we'll see if he can kind of use that as a, what's the word I'm looking for? Let's just say he can use that as the start of possibly turning of a new leaf in these playoffs and play more like his old self on a consistent basis. But I don't think so. I think this was just a good game because he's still capable of these nights, but he's not going to be like this in game 5. And I don't know if he'll have as good a game as this in the series. But let's move on. But Embiid, though, will have better games, so that's something to look forward to. Let's move on now to the game that I really analyzed and watched in real depth today, and that was the Phoenix Suns and the Dallas Mavericks game 4. By the way, I see a comment about crazy to think Glenn has a chance and opportunity to coach an 0-2 comeback. Yeah. We'll see if he pulls it off. Comment saying basically Jimmy Butler carrying and everyone just bricking. Another comment says Embiid such a game changer. Glad he's back out there for the series. Yeah, I hate the Sixers with this current rendition of the Sixers, but I am happy to see Embiid back because you don't want to see guys injured in the playoffs. Kyle says just one player was enough to change the series, and Joel just needed to be there. He didn't even need to have some dominant performance. That's a great point. See, that's the thing about people. They look at the box score so much, and you don't understand that this game, this sports, this thing called sports, it's fucking emotional. You know what I'm saying? It's a game with real people involved. You know what I'm saying? A game of momentum. It's not 2K or a video game or chess pieces where they're just robots out there like fantasy basketball. It's not like that. Embiid, a presence of a guy can change an entire thing. And let me tell you all this. This is a great quiz for my beautiful Dime Jumper fam. What game in NBA history that I have done a video on resembles what I just said, where the presence of one man changed everything, even though he wasn't 100%. I hope you don't get this wrong. Anyways, my boy TC says, wouldn't be surprised if Sixers win out the series and Embiid's been a game changer. All right, let's talk about the Suns and the Mavs. The start of the game, the Dallas Mavericks came out firing from deep, firing. You know the Suns are going to play that drop coverage with DeAndre Ayton and rely on Jay Crowder and Mikal Bridges to get over the screens. Luka, in the beginning, made 2 great plays to punish that drop coverage. Got to a floater, then hit a 3 because Ayton was dropped too deep. Powell was setting some really good screens, and you saw the Suns adjust shortly after. They stopped with that drop coverage because Powell was setting good screens and they weren't doing a good enough job getting over them. And mind you, Luka is not CJ McCollum. He's a big body. And he does an amazing job of keeping the guy chasing him over the screen behind him. On the offensive side for Phoenix, Devin Booker was the initiator to start the game. He was, as we've seen in the playoffs, his first quarter Booker getting to his mid-range, getting to the basket really today. He was getting to the basket a lot more. And the Mavs not playing drop coverage. They did it on a couple possessions, and Chris Paul found Ayton and I think it was, mostly Ayton for some nice pocket passes, but mostly they were doing hedge and recover. So Kleba or Dwight Powell would come out because you cannot play drop coverage against Chris Paul and Devin Booker because Chris Paul and Devin Booker are mid-range maestros. So they'll get into that elbow, that space in between the guy getting over the screen and the big man dropping. That's enough for them to pull. So you're going to have to come up and show, which potentially leaves you in 4-on-3 predicaments. But again, in today's NBA, if you don't have switch everything personnel, you're going to have to give some stuff up. But the Mavs, when Maxi Kleba comes in and plays the 5, do have more switch everything personnel. So Dwight Powell only played 10 minutes. He didn't even put a shot up. But Maxi Kleba played 34 minutes. And the Mavs, when they switch everything, who are the Suns going to look to attack? Luka. And today, Luka, in the beginning, almost lost control of his emotions. He picked up a technical foul. And then there was the play right on the other end where he was playing really physical defense on Jay Crowder, and you knew that he was going to pick up a foul. It was one of those obvious ones where you can tell his emotions were getting the best of him. He picked up, I think, 2 fouls in the first quarter. And the one thing, though, I liked about that is that you could tell Luka was not going to let himself get bitched on defense like he did in game 2. And he was taking the challenge today and playing good defense. And another thing I liked about Luka's approach, the shot attempts don't suggest this, but I would guarantee if you looked at time of possession and touches, he sacrificed today more. He let Jalen Brunson get going in the first half. He let Spencer Dinwiddie and him handle the ball a little bit more. There were times where he came off the ball for shots, and they didn't look good because he's not used to it. But, I remember one time he came off, I think this was in the second half. No, actually, it was the first half. He came off a screen for a 3 on the move. And I was like, that's not Luka. And he missed pretty badly. It was back of the rim, not very off to the right, not very close. But it was a different shot. And that shows that one of 2 things are happening. Either Jason Kidd is running different sets for Luka because he wants to diversify his attack because it was just all Luka ball in the first 2 games. Or Luka himself is sacrificing. It's probably both. But he did a good job of letting Jalen Brunson get going. And again, all these people talking to me on Twitter and saying these things about, this is not going to be the series for Brunson. Brunson can't play against the Suns' length. This is what I've been trying to tell y'all. It's all about how he's being played. If the Suns are going to switch everything, then there are only 2 matchups where Jalen Brunson could have potential success in the starting lineup. That's actually maybe 3. Chris Paul, DeAndre Ayton, and Devin Booker. Now, that being said, I'd say Chris Paul is the only one. Maybe Booker, the way he's played the last 2 games, Brunson. But actually, you know what? I think all 3 of those he can go one-on-one against. He just has to have the confidence. But not Crowder and Mikal Bridges and not Cam Johnson. I'd say steer clear of those 3. And other than that, if they're playing the pick and roll regularly, hedge, recover, or blitz, Jalen Brunson can make the right read. If they're playing drop coverage, that's the best scenario for Brunson because he's got a good in-between game. So we were seeing all that type of stuff. We were seeing the Suns go and drop a little bit. Brunson was getting into the mid-range. We saw some switching. He was getting by, made some shots on Booker, made some shots on – there was one play where he mixed Ayton badly on a little hesitation, kicked it out, and that 3 didn't go in. But what about the house down? But the beginning, the Reggie Bullocks of the world, the Dorian Finney-Smith, Davis Bertans. Davis Bertans hit 2 threes in the first quarter. And Finney-Smith had 3 in the first quarter. And one of the big reasons that was happening was after Luka had punished them in the drop coverage, then the Suns started switching everything. Even sometimes they go to the drop coverage and then Ayton would late switch and take it. And Luka was doing an amazing job of reading the defense, getting to the basket, penetration, and kick. And all the Mavs shooters were hitting. And that's the thing. When you switch everything against Luka, who's going to be able to stop him one-on-one? There's not many people in the world that can stop him one-on-one, if anyone. And the Mavs had a ton of success. Jay Crowder got injured in the first quarter, twisted his ankle, but he would come back and actually be one of the best Suns. Devin Booker had 13 points in the first quarter, but not much from anyone else, including my man DeAndre Ayton, who was missing some chippies, and overall I thought just looked like that soft Ayton that we say prevents him from being a star. You know, the thing about Ayton is sometimes he looks like Patrick Ewing Jr., and then other games he looks like a Care Bear. You know, not setting hard screens, not going up strong, not playing with – it's a lot of its body language. Like, look at his stat line today. It looks pretty good. 14 points, 11 rebounds, 7 of 12. No, because a lot of these misses were chippies, shots that he's made. One was just like a wide open lob, like layup. He should have been like 9 for 12. And he should have been more aggressive. He should have gotten the ball more. He had 6 offensive rebounds, and a lot of those offensive rebounds, he didn't just go back up strong. That's the thing. You get the ball down there, go up strong, man. You're 7 foot with skill. So Ayton, I just don't think played well enough today. I think Booker and Jay Crowder were the only starters that played well. Yes, Mikal Bridges, a bad game for once. I heard he didn't have a great game in game 3, but these 2 games have been the first 2 games in the playoffs he's been bad because he was awesome in basically every single game against New Orleans. 3 for 9 today for Bridges, only 6 points. And part of that's because he didn't get many transition points and they didn't give him any open threes. He only got 2 threes and he missed them both. But I also thought, too, this game was very poorly officiated, in my opinion. And I think a lot of games in these playoffs have been very poorly officiated because I think the refs are struggling with, like, they're clearly being more lenient than they've had in previous years because obviously this year the NBA wanted to make it a little more physical again. And what's weird is you have this physicality aspect that's trying to be brought back, but the players themselves are still trying to foul bait constantly on both ends of the floor. Like Chris Paul's trying to pull the chair on defense, and then on offense, he did the little classic CP3 move, Trae Young move that got penalized. We're going to talk about Chris Paul in a little bit more depth in a second. And then when guys are posting up, you see them push off, and then you see guys flop at any sort of contact. It's like so hard to officiate because it's like you're reffing a physical game, but then you have these foul baiting tactics. It's like play the fucking game. And it's hard to ref. Like it's not easy to ref. You know what I'm saying? Chris Paul, 2 fouls in the first quarter, one of them on an offensive foul, on a follow-through on a pass. Second quarter, by the way, first quarter was all Mavs, 37-25 after 1. As I said, Dorian Finney-Smith, Reggie Bullock, Davis Bertans, they were starting off hot from deep. And then second quarter, Crowder got going after he came back, hit his first 3 open threes, even hit a floater. He had 15 points in the game. 6 for 13 shooting and 2 for 7 from deep. I thought he was pretty good. And Spencer Dinwiddie, when he came in, he also had his best game of the series, in my opinion. They went underneath. Cam Johnson went underneath the screen. He hit 2 threes with guys going underneath screens. Then they went over the top. DeAndre Ayton in drop coverage. Spencer Dinwiddie floater game. So Spencer was making them pay. You got to love that. And then the Suns became hesitant to blitz because the Mavs shooting was so hot. So they went back into the drop coverage. Suns. Yeah, I already talked about Suns switching everything and Luka finding guys. Book had a really good first half, 19 at the half, and got to the basket a couple times on the switch everything from Dallas because people can't guard Book one-on-one. Ayton just okay, as I said, but overall not great in the game. The Suns, the funny thing is the Suns weathered the storm. They cut it down to 6 before half, but the Mavs made some big plays at the end. And I'll tell you what really affected the Suns. Cliff Paul. So obviously he's in foul trouble. He comes in and hits 2 shots, has 5 points, picks up a 3rd foul. And then the 4th foul was at the end of the quarter where he was trying to follow up his own miss, literally at the last second, like the buzzer's about to sound, and he gives Luka a little push. Was it a soft call? Absolutely. Why you're following your shot with that aggression at the end of a quarter, I have no idea. This is going back to Chris Paul's mistakes that he makes in the playoffs because sometimes he just cares too much. Sometimes he's just so intense that I don't think he either overthinks it or is just like trying to press so hard and made foolish decisions. Like Chris Paul's a genius player, one of the smartest players ever, but these are the moments that define your legacy. Moments. I'm not saying game 4 in the second round against Dallas one year. That's not my point. My point is there's reasons he hasn't won a chip, and it's moments like that. Now, I know what you're going to say if you're a Chris Paul defender or you're going to play devil's advocate. This was like the first time he got fouled out of a playoff game. That's not the fucking point. The point is, don't even get me started with Chris Paul's playoff failures, because I think they're extremely over-exaggerated, but I could write a fucking book on that guy, because that's my guy. I'm a Clipper fan. I don't think anyone saw him as well as I did. New Orleans fans can say that, but they can't say that because they only made the playoffs 3 times, and in 2010, he missed half the season with this knee surgery. I got to see Chris Paul 6 years basically in full, so I know what he does. And 2014 against the Thunder was completely overthinking it in Game 5 when he lost the ball in behind half court because he wanted to get fouled. He wanted to throw it up there because he thought he was getting fouled. Last year against the Bucks, slowing it down, trying to play Chris ball, not killing the pace. He knows. He's smart. And then here we go again today. 2 terrible games in a row. 7 turnovers the other night, and then today the foul trouble. 4 fouls at halftime. And then the third quarter, we saw an adjustment made by Monty. He went to zone, and it was actually fucking the Mavs up. They were not getting the dribble penetration that they had in the first half. They were not getting that pick and roll success they were getting. And despite Chris Paul picking up a 5th foul, Devin Booker kept them in the game. He was trying hard, and he was getting to the line a lot. And you saw a little bit more hedge recover from Dallas. Actually, no, that's what they were playing most of the whole game. But they went a little bit more hedge recover in the third quarter than switch because they don't want to switch a lot on Devin Booker. A guy I thought could have played better today and just was really, really struggling from the field all playoffs. It has not been like last year's playoffs. Cam Payne. Chris Paul was out. He actually played a good amount today. 16 minutes. So that's not that much. But he just couldn't hit. 2 points, 1 of 5. Had chances in that third quarter to make some plays, and he just couldn't. Cameron Johnson, I thought he was solid. 3 for 7 from deep, 4 for 10 from the field, 11 points, 5 rebounds. He played pretty well. But the Suns, again, just had a tough shooting night from 3. 25 3-point attempts, only made 9 of them. Third quarter, though, they did outscore the Mavs 22-19. And Luka, by the way, did not. The funny part is the Suns missed 3 free throws, too, in the third quarter that were just by makeable foul shooters. DeAndre Ayton went 0 for 2 from the line. So that's a huge problem. There's no reason why Ayton should ever have a game where he only shoots 2 free throws. And he missed them both. And then I believe it was Jay Crowder that missed the other one. It was 1 of 2. So 3 free throws missed by very decent foul shooters in that quarter. Was it going to make a difference in the grand scheme of things? No. But in that run, in that third quarter, it could have been because they were actually only down by 4 points, Phoenix, 78-82. And then the Mavs pushed it back up by the end of the quarter to 87-78. And a 9-point lead looks very different going into the fourth quarter than a 4-point lead feels. And Luka, by the way, at this point was having an inefficient shooting night. But again, what do I always say? Fuck efficiency. The win is what matters. That will tell you the true story of a star's impact because he was creating everything. He was sacrificing a bit, letting Brunson eat. And Brunson, he had some beautiful plays, man. Beautiful shots, beautiful moves. 18 points for Jalen, 4 rebounds, 4 assists, 7 for 17 shooting. He bounced back with 2 really good games here in Dallas. And then Spencer Dinwiddie didn't have an efficient shooting night, but he had 10 points, 4 boards, 4 assists, 3 for 10 shooting, 2 for 4 from deep. Thought he did his job. He gets in double figures, you're chilling. Davis Bertans, 13 minutes, and in a very impactful 13 minutes, 12 points, 4 for 6 from deep. Those were all his shots, and some of them were not easy either. And Maxi Kleber, doing Maxi Kleber things. Defending well, knocking down open shots. He had 11 points, was plus 16, 4 for 7 from the field, and 1 for 3 from deep. There was even a time where, I remember I said the Suns were switching for stretches, and he took Chris Paul right in the low post, sealed him well, got the ball into the basket, and went up. He even had 2 offensive rebounds. So when the Suns cross-matched, Maxi Kleber did actually a pretty good job, even though he's not like a bully interior guy, of making his size felt. And then the story of the fourth quarter, the momentum was lost because Chris Paul, with 5 fouls, and I believe this was a bullshit call, a very harsh one in my eyes, was trying hard, was guarding Jalen Brunson. And I like this. I like that the Mavericks, and this is something I was talking with my uncle about today, so many teams just don't play the foul trouble game because not that many guys get in foul trouble the way they used to because, as I said before, not as much one-on-one defense. It's more pick and roll defense, not as much post defense. And when you play one-on-one defense, that causes for physicality. a lot more than pick and roll, where it's a lot more rotations, closeouts, all that type of stuff. And teams go to the basket less, settle for a lot of quick threes. And then you obviously have the verticality rule. So for various reasons, you don't see foul trouble as much in today's NBA. But even when teams and certain guys are in foul trouble, I don't always see a concerted effort to keep going to the basket or put that guy in a position where he needs to guard without fouling. And the Mavs actually did on this play with Chris Paul. Jalen Brunson went to the post. And by the way, he can actually post up pretty well for a guard. Has a nice little turn. He had a nice turnaround over his left shoulder today on Booker. That was beautiful. Actually, no, it was a fake turn over the left shoulder and it went over the right. Beautiful move. But Chris Paul didn't want to foul. It was clean. Jalen Brunson missed short, and Chris Paul, for whatever reason, slapped down, made small contact on his arm, and they fouled him out of the game. Now, obviously, I think that's a bad call. You don't call that to foul somebody out of a game, a playoff game, especially a player that important. But at the same time, Chris Paul's been in the league for 17 years. He knows he has 5 fouls. Slapping down is very easy to get called for a foul. This guy's got one of the best basketball IQs of all time. What was going on here? Like, what kind of decision was that? What was he thinking on half of these plays today? Fouls out with 9 minutes left, and now Booker's gonna have to carry the load. And the way that the Mavs were shooting, it was not happening for the Suns tonight. The Mavs executed brilliantly on offense. We're finding the open guys, and the guy that really put the game to bed, Dorian Finney-Smith. 13 shots taken. 12 of those were threes, and 8 of them went in. That's 66% for those that are slow at math. Holy shit, though. Dorian Finney-Smith, I've been saying it all playoffs, and I actually if you go back to my recaps last year, maybe you can find me saying it then, but he's gotten a lot better to me three-point shooting-wise. But when he hits his threes, the Mavs seem to usually win. He's the X factor shooting the ball. The thing about Dorian Finney-Smith is I think he plays well damn near every game because his defense first, and you don't need to rely on shots falling for that. But wow, it's crazy because last year he shot 39.4% from deep. Didn't feel that way in the playoffs. But this year he shot 39.5% from deep. So that's both really good. Damn, he did shoot 43% from deep in our series against us. I just remember I'd have to look back at the individual games because some games he was hot, some games he was cold. But I feel like this year he's been a lot more consistent with the 3-ball. And he was just on fire. And you already know the job he's going to do on defense. So Dorian Finney-Smith, shouts out to you. What a performance. Becoming, in my opinion, he's the X factor for this Mavs team, as I just said. Tonight, 24 points, 8 rebounds. And then Luka, 26 points, 7 rebounds, and 11 assists, 4 turnovers. Luka's been awesome. Best player in the series. And maybe a top 5 player in the league. Let me know in the comments, guys, who you would take right now. Embiid or Jokic? I'm sorry, Luka. Because that's the conversation to me. I think the clear cut. Ooh, if you want to think Kevin Durant is also in that mix too. I think the top 3 is Steph in whatever order. Steph, Giannis, and Jokic. But I think Luka, KD, and Embiid come right after. And I think whatever order you put them in, I'll make that determination after the playoffs are over. But it's tough. So let me know what you guys think. Luka, Embiid, and what's the other guy I just named? Luka, Embiid, and Durant. I'm putting Curry in that top 3 because even though you want to look at his individual performance and say may not be as good as certain guys, look at the effect Steph Curry has on teams. That system doesn't exist without him. So that's important. He's off the ball. Like Luka, Ja, KD, all these guys, like nobody moves without the ball like Steph. He opens up like total new avenues for his team. Like we haven't seen. But anyway, let's look at the lines for the Suns. By the way, as a team, the Dallas Mavericks shot better from 3 than 2. So that tells you a lot. And Luka Doncic was 1 for 10 from deep. So let's say you subtract Luka's threes. They were 19 for 34 from 3 without Luka's shots, which is absurd. They shot 45.5% from deep, with, including Luka, 20 for 44. And the Suns turned the ball over 17 times, 15 from starters, 4 for Ayton. Again, going into the soft shit, getting stripped. 4 for Crowder, 5 for Booker, and 2 for Chris Paul. Both of them were offensive fouls, if I'm not mistaken. DeAndre Ayton, 14 and 11 on 7 for 12 shooting. Devin Booker, I thought he played really well, was carrying the team. 35 points, 4 rebounds, 7 assists, but still turned the ball over too much. 10 for 22 shooting and 3 for 6 from deep. 12 for 13 from the line. Where's my man KB at? Kelvin, my man KB always comes at me whenever Chris Paul plays well and Booker doesn't. Where's that energy at right now? 2 bad games in a row for Chris Paul. Devin Booker was playing well today. Anyways, Chris Paul, 23 minutes, only 4 shot attempts, 2 of them made, 1 for 1 from 3, no free throw attempts, 5 points, 5 rebounds, 7 assists, and 2 turnovers, and 6 fouls. The Mavericks move on and tie the series, defending home court 111-101. So just like we said in the Heat series. And by the way, I find it hilarious that both series matched, or all 4 series matched up with one another. Like they've matched up the 2 versus 3 on the same day and the 1 versus 4 on the same days. And they've each followed suit with one another. The 1 versus 4 has been 2-2. The home team has won every game. And then the 3 versus the 2 has been the road team won game 1. The home team responded in game 2 with Grizzlies and Celtics winning. And then the home team is up 2-1 now. And by the way, I heard John Morant's probably not going to play tomorrow. And that is a travesty. It is so sad. I know the Grizzlies have a good record without him, but this is playoff basketball. Shit changes. And that sucks if he can't play. Totally sucks. Would the Grizzlies have won this? I'm not going to actually go into all that. Let's just wait till the game plays. I'll be going live tomorrow. But let's talk about Chris Paul real quick before we leave, before I go to the live subscribers tonight. I think the slapping foul was harsh, but the most ridiculous one was when he had 4 fouls and he tried to do his classic move where he goes in front of the defender and puts him on his back. And I think that should be allowed personally, especially like the way he was doing it, because I feel like you should be able to go wherever you want as the ball handler. However, you know that they have made an announcement this year that they want to try to take that out of the game where you get in front of a guy and shield him. I use that all the time. And guess where I learned it from? Chris Paul. Anybody that's played basketball with me knows I use that. If I get a step on a guy, I'll like get in front of him and cut him off because of Chris Paul. I think it's smart. But with 3 fouls or 4 fouls, you cannot be making risks like these. You need to be more calculated. And it's crazy. I'm talking about calculations. I'm talking about Chris Paul, the point guard. That's another thing, guys. Like, I love Chris Paul and I always will. But you see my analysis for 2 years, I keep it 100 with bro. I just don't think he's as high up all time on the point guard list as a lot of people. But that's because I'm a historian that actually knows what Clyde Frazier did, that knows what Oscar did, again, everybody wants to talk about Steph as a point guard. If Steph's a point guard, Jerry West's a point guard to me because Jerry's more on ball than Steph. But that's a conversation for another day. The point is, in the all-time list, I'm not as high on Chris Paul, but that has nothing to do with my analysis on him in the moment. You know what I'm saying? And my analysis on Chris Paul is that he's going to play well in game 5 because I know who Chris Paul is. He's going to play great in game 5, in my opinion, because a great player having 2 bad games in a row like that does not – having 1 bad game in the playoffs doesn't sit well with him. But having 2, he's going to bounce back. But here's my problem with Chris discourse, right? Everyone hates this guy for whatever reason. I know he has his antics and all that, but it's kind of wild because there's like a section of people that love Chris Paul and a section of people that hate him. And it's starting to become that way with Ja too, and Luka. And I just think this is part of media and social media and the way I tweeted about this today. It's like, it's so fucking toxic the way we talk about sports. It's like you either have to hate a team or a player or just love them. There's no in between, no objectivity. It's all emotions and fanboyism, and it's just ridiculous. And like, oh, this guy sucked. Like, this is the type of shit I be seeing on Twitter every day, and I probably am guilty of it too. Oh, so what was that about him being better than blank? Oh, so what was that about him being top 10? Like, oh my God, man. Shit's a toxic fucking cesspool. Anyway, this is the problem with Chris Paul. When he plays like ass, he's a loser. He sucks. He's overrated. When he plays well, when he has those fourth quarter takeovers, oh my God, point guard. Oh Lord, he's top 5. He's better than Isaiah Thomas. He's better than Oscar. Shut the fuck up. You make it so, I love Chris Paul. He's my favorite player, one of my favorite players ever. And you make me not want him to succeed because of the way you overreact to every little thing. Oh my God, I wish I had a Twitter when he was going off against the Jazz when Blake Griffin fucked up his toe. You would have had me going, you check my Facebook post. I was obsessed with this man because he was on my fucking squad. But nobody talks about that 5 years now, do they? And so when people want to talk about, Isaiah, his stats aren't that great. There's a reason why people talk about that motherfucker the way they do. Because the bad boys, we're 30 plus years removed from the bad boys, and that team's impact will forever live on in basketball lore. And he was the conductor. Yeah, we'll talk about Lob City in 30 years. Not for the right reasons, I can assure you that, except for the Clippers for changing our franchise. But my point is, it's so easy to be caught up in the moment with Chris Paul. Everything he does is good and bad. It's It's just so over the top. And I'm just trying to be that middle ground because I love Chris Paul. Do I root for the Suns? No. Am I rooting for Chris? Not really. But it's like, settle down. Tonight, he was not no point god. He was point clot. And that's another thing. I'm never going to call him point god because, like, how can you be I'm not going to call anybody a god of anything unless they have a championship. I'm sorry. If you have a god, you'd have to have a championship to be god. Otherwise, you're in the Stockton category. And by the way, I was watching a Stockton game, not a full game, but a 50-minute version, a condensed game with one of my friends yesterday. Stockton was 39 years old. You guys would not believe the shit he was doing. Oh my God. It looked like Chris Paul, but he was 2 years older. And so imagine if we had social media for that. And he's a little white, oh, John Stockton's a fucking plumber. Somebody was trying to argue with me that Trae Young was better this year. It's like, bro, Trae Young can't play fucking defense. John Stockton is the all-time leader in steals and was a menace. That's it for me tonight, guys, before I start spamming. Thanks for joining me. By the way, I see great attendance tonight in the chat. 23 people on Mother's Day? Okay, I see y'all. Let's go to the live subscribers. Wait, no so patient in the chat. Thanks for joining me. Peace. Let me know what you thought. What's up, y'all? Look at you showing that support tonight. Hey, 25 of y'all, super chats are turned on. If you want to drop $1 or a dime for your boy, man. Hey, any donation helps. Maybe it can be used for better equipment, maybe bigger guests. You already know this summer, the funds, boost Instagram posts. You already know. I'm always taking $1. I'm always taking $1. Let's see what we got here. By the way, Kings up 2-0 after 2 periods. One more period, and we are 2-2, baby, going back to Edmonton. Let's see what we're saying here. Kyle's take says, can't believe I'd see Don rooting for the Mavs in Game 5. Listen, bro, what's up with this? I don't hate the Dallas Mavericks. Like, this Clippers shit about, oh, the Mavs, they're so annoying. Bro, who is the only team in NBA history that the Clippers have beaten twice in the playoffs? Oh, wait, it's the fucking Mavs. Okay? We've never lost to them. This, like, Luka gave me some stress. Stress don't mean anything. Because I got a video of me saying, send these motherfuckers home at Staples Center. It's on my channel. Go check it out. So this Mavs shit, the Suns have broken our hearts twice. The Mavs, 0. Okay? Like, we still, that Game 4 game winner, oh, Luka owns the Clippers. Kawhi Leonard owns the fucking Mavs. Okay? Shut that shit up. And I'm not going to, by the way, if any Mavs fans watch this, no disrespect. I know you're a better franchise than us. You had Dirk. We drafted Michael Olowokandi over Dirk. Yeah, boom, fuck me. Yeah, whatever. Anyway, you have Mark Cuban. We had Donald Sterling. So there's that. But we're 2-0 against the Mavs all time. That's all I got to say to you. You know what I'm saying? That's the facts. And we're 0-2 against the Phoenix bums all time. And Raja Bell and Tim Thomas and 06 and 2021. That's real pain. And guess what? We're going to get our fucking revenge on those guys one day. I swear. We're going to get our revenge. And I hope it's next year when we switch everything on these bozos and Chris Paul looks like he does not know. He looks like he wants to retire. I want to send that. Because here's the thing about Chris Paul. It's love-hate for me, right? Like, I love the guy. I said to myself during the Utah series, I said, 2017 Utah series, not 2021. I said, with Blake Griffin out for the second straight year and Chris Paul's doing these amazing performances in Utah, single-handedly just torching and pick and roll and forcing a Game 7, I said I would never hate on him even if he left. I said he's given us everything. I understand if he wants to leave. And he did. And I understood. Did it make it any easier when I was at the game when he came back and he tried to fight and go to the locker room in the secret passageway or whatever? Did that make it any easier to like him? Did it make it any easier when I was at Game 6, he was getting off and then screamed out to the crowd? I think it was in the direction of his family, but it's the same shit. He screamed out to the crowd. And I'm sitting there in my first time making the conference finals, and he made the finals before us. You don't think that shit sticks in my brain, in my memory? Damn right it does. I want his ass out. Now, here's the thing. If we win a championship before Chris Paul, I'll be his biggest supporter to win a championship. I will want it. But there's something about, like, I want us to win before him. And if we don't win, then he should. I want him to be in the the Charles Barkley category. Best players to ever win a ring. Sorry. It's Clippers. This is what you got to understand about me. It's Clippers versus the fucking world. You're either with us or you're against us. I don't care how much you do for the franchise. Same goes for Patrick Beverley. Weak-ass Clippers. Okay, weak-ass Timberwolves. This motherfucker's been tweeting like he's still some shit for 2 weeks now. Oh, that didn't happen against us with John Morant's performance. Motherfucker, you are in Cancun with us. You just had your flight was postponed for a week. Bev, I love you, buddy. But your day is coming, my friend. And your day is coming where you're going to be watching the Clippers from fucking Cancun next year. I am so tired of these playoffs without us. I can't wait. Just enjoy it, guys. I just fucking enjoy it because we want to rip people's hearts out next year because Robert Covington re-signed. So now we're going to go 5-man death lineup. And let's see if you can score on Kawhi, Paul George, Nico Batum, and Rocco. And Terrence. Let's see if you can score because we got 2 isolation daggers and somebody can fucking post up if Kawhi comes back anything close to his old self. I just lost monetization for this video with the cussing I just did, but who cares, right? It's okay. It's good to have occasional loss of monetization. The emotions come back. Really weird to have CP3 have 2 straight bad games. Yeah. Philly in 7. Put a stamp on it. Says wet like on book. Ugh. I think 6 is more likely at this point. Lou says, it's really fun seeing Luka go off on other teams and not the Clippers. Yes, it is. TC says, facts. Just having him beat out there makes it easier on the other players mentally. There isn't so much pressure. Kyle takes his time. Give us a clue that you quizzed us about. Kyle, you're my biggest supporter and you haven't watched Time Dropper Time Machine? How can you have not watched the 4 episodes of Time Dropper Time Machine if you're my biggest supporter? Come on. I know you have more interest than just the modern NBA. You ask me questions about history all the time. Is it a recent game? Oh, my goodness. You're way off pace. Mavs and Philly NBA Finals. I'd rather shoot myself than that. I don't know. Just curious, but are you buying the 20-5 Memphis record without Ja for game 4? Honestly, I'm not. Like you said in the playoffs, you need superstars. I think it's a little relevant because they're used to being in this position. So that's something psychologically. So you have to take that into account. Listening to those Memphis fans cry about Jordan Poole touching Ja's knee makes me realize why you call them teddy bears. Look, I just call them the teddy bears because I don't like them. That has nothing to do with that. But more ammo, more fuel to my fire with the anti-Grizzlies agenda? Sure. If Luka was able to push Kawhi and your Clippers to 6 to 7 games, he definitely has a shot to win the series versus Phoenix. I mean, he definitely does. And it's a better Mavs team, guys. I want to say that too. It's a better Mavs team. Oh, yeah, that's another point. Everybody wants to clown us about, look at Luka taking the Clippers so far. Now you see how hard it is? Now you see how good this motherfucker is? You all want to talk about Luka didn't make it out of the first round. Yeah, because he's playing against us, and we're better than you fucking think. The jokes are cute. The jokes are really fucking cute, so you realize how good this guy is. But guess what? My face is going to look cute when I have champagne pouring all over it next year, hopefully, motherfuckers. Anyway, I'm so amped. Facts about your point about Ayton. When people talk to me about him cooking Draymond, I disagree because sometimes Ayton lacks aggression. But I've seen him cook Draymond. It's just a matter of want to. Ernesto George says, I can't stand James Harden's game. Overrated. Bring back late 90s, early 2000s NBA rules. Yeah, but that's not going to happen because they're never going to. That's not the product that they want. That's going to kill guard play. If you want to go late 90s, then you bring back illegal defense and just ISO play. They're not going to like that. Let's talk Dodgers. It's May, bro. We're talking LA King. The only LA team that matters right now is the Kings. Like, for real. The Dodgers do matter, though, of course. I'm never going to say they don't. But right now, it's Kings season. We're in the playoffs. We're the only Staples Center team remaining. 4-on-4. This power play is about to end. 2-0, though, Kings. Wow. Should be a text. It's been a long time. I got a lot to tell you, man. Emotions ran high. If this is your form of apology, I apologize as well. Hit me up, though. CP3 Meltdown says Gabriel Onimus. Finney-Smith went crazy tonight, says Domo. Is that my boy Domo from Twitter? If that is, shout out to my boy Domo. Mikey T says, do you dislike Luka's game too since you dislike Harden? I actually don't because Luka embraces the in-between game. And he's just crafty, man. I really like Luka's game. I think he can be too on-ball dominant sometimes, but he embraces the in-between game. If Harden embraced the in-between, and he could be posting up. If Harden embraced the in-between game like his earlier years, and the way Harden does it is just, like, I think Luka's kind of a foul baiter, but Harden's way more of a foul baiter. I don't dislike Luka's game. Just a guy on YouTube says, I wonder if Harden and Embiid can play off each other consistently, especially next year. Yeah, why not? Gabriel Onimus says Luka. Just a guy on YouTube says, fuck the Dodgers, go Cubs. Okay. I got 2 words for you. 2017. Domo Genesis says that's a tough one. Gabriel Onimus says, I don't like Stephen Curry. What's so unlikable about Stephen Curry? He may be the most likable star in the league. He doesn't talk at all. He's so humble. Domo Genesis, I'd say Luka because with Embiid, the risk for injury is too high. Okay, fair. That was on my Embiid Luka shit. No, it's about the Angels, says Wet Like I'm Book. Okay, now you're losing me. Wet Like I'm Book says, give me Rondo over Chris Paul in the playoffs all day. I still don't even know about that. I think that's a little disrespectful to Chris. NBA fans love to be contrarians just to put the conversation about them. Many basketball players and fans are very self-absorbed. Yes. Rolone. Preach. I've never seen you before. Yo, Dime, I heard a trade for the Clippers. Mike Conley for next. We can't trade Terrence, bro. No fucking way. You cannot get enough of wings that guard in the league. And Terrence is only getting better. And he's part of the culture already. We got to keep Terrence. Sad. Can't stay for a whole live. Got to go. Nice live, Dime. Appreciate you, Kyle. Oh my God, guys. You're still not going to guess. What's the game? Are you still not going to guess the game of the player that was injured that came and made an impact? Come on. Are you serious? What's the most famous player injured story in the history of basketball? Please, guys. I need it smarter. Come on. You guys are too smart for this. Do you think Kobe is underrated at this point? I see some people say people has him since he died, and when in reality, it seems people dismiss his achievements, especially compared to LeBron. Yes, I believe Kobe's underrated outside of LA. The way the media has talked about him is not justified. It's they're entirely too harsh. They act like 2004 was every year of his career. They diminish what he did with Shaq. They diminish his basketball IQ. I don't think people understand, even people that were alive and older than me, I don't think you understood what it was like to actually watch Kobe every night locally. It was different. Every kid, I kid you not, that watched the Lakers on a night in, night out basis, it was different, man. It was just different. He played with this fire on a nightly basis that was just like, it made like so many nights I've been doing live for you guys. It's like, oh, I'm recapping a game. Not a big deal. I won't remember this game in a couple months. It wasn't like that with Kobe. Every game seemed like it mattered. And it kind of felt like that as a kid. Just overall, the league was different. The regular season was prioritized more, but Kobe was just one of those players that made it like that. Jacory Morrow says, love you, Dime, but the Clippers are trash. Then what does that make the Lakers? Toxic waste? Jason Kidd done a great job. Facts. What, like, I'm looking at Tijuana Clippers next year? No. I know as a Cubs fan, I hate playing the Dodgers. Good. Jonathan Jakob Q, what's up, man? Haven't heard from you in a while. Dime, bro. As a huge NBA fan myself, I honestly agree with everything you said about the regular season. Honestly, I don't follow it too much. I still love the playoffs, though. Just a guy on YouTube says Harden and Embiid haven't had a great games together in the playoffs. Embiid didn't play well, but Harden did. Fair. I don't think Embiid was bad tonight, though, do you? Isn't it Kareem? No. Guys, are you serious? You guys got to watch my time machine videos, man. I have 4 games up there. This is the history of basketball. This is making you guys more educated here. This is legacies. You want your all-time list to be more accurate? This is a game. This is a film. Come on. Who's the player in my time machine who played injured and inspired his team before he even stepped foot on the court? Come on. This is obvious. I wonder who Mook's getting traded for. Yeah. Roland says, follow you on Twitter. Big Clippers fan myself since I was 11 years old. 2001. Appreciate the content. Oh, shit. Even longer than me. What's your name on Twitter, bro? Appreciate that. Gabriel Onimus says he was great. Isaiah Thomas, no. Good guess. Have I made a time machine video on Isaiah Thomas? Trevor Davis says, go Kings. Rooting for Bucks this year, not the Suns. Fair enough. Well, like I'm says, Mike Conley to win a ring before the Clippers. Put a stamp on it. Get the fuck out of here. What? Man, Edmonton on the power play. What do we got? Hey! There we go. Daniel, my man. Willis fucking Reed. Thank you. The Knicks. Watch. By the way, that's my least viewed time machine video thus far. Go watch that. That's one of the most famous games in NBA history. Y'all want to put Chris Paul over Clyde Frazier when Clyde Frazier put 36, 19, and 7 in like the game 7 to win the championship? Like, bro, 36 against Jerry West. Against Jerry West, he made him look like a fool. Like, that's what I'm saying. Is Chris Paul have a signature and performance like that in the finals? Hell nah. Anyway, any last words, gentlemen? This has been a really fun live. I've had some good sound bites here. 55 minutes. What we got? I saw Dime at the strip club. I haven't been to a strip club in years. I was at a club last night, a couple nights ago, though. Please talk about how Wilt and LeBron are so similar in many ways. Ooh, well, how do I put this? I think Wilt and LeBron are super unique. I think they're both pretty self-absorbed. I think LeBron and Wilt, like, they want to show everybody how great they are. That's one thing about them. They are very comfortable in the limelight. They care too much about what people in the media thinks, no doubt. And I think they're they're both the best athletes I've ever seen in basketball. Michael Jordan with a close one. They can fill up the stat sheet like no other, but they also have this incredible ability. They also, at times, like young Wilt did too much. The way I say LeBron can do too much. And their fans say the same shit. It's always that they did everything they could and the team wasn't good enough. Look at the stats because they master statistics. Wilt and watching again. My point. Go watch my time machine video, episode 3, with the Knicks and the Knicks and the Lakers, and see how Wilt's stat line still looks good, but he doesn't play well at all. He and LeBron have that same knack where they can find a way to get great statistics, but play like shit. LeBron does it in a certain way where he loves to dominate the ball, high usage, and at times he'll assist Hunt by passing at the end of the shot clock when he's got no other options. Instead of taking an inefficient shot, he'll save his field goal percentage by not taking shots that are sometimes tough, but he should take them as the best player on the team. He also has recently done this thing where he oftentimes doesn't shoot at the end of quarters. Last year, all season, he didn't do it. He just kept giving it to Kuzma to tank his percentage. And then he'll have a tendency to start going off when the game's already decided. That's another thing LeBron does a lot. And this season was a prime example of that. There was also a game where he, like a couple times this year, where it was a defensive 3-second violation or a tech, and he waltzed up to the free throw line like he's some 90% foul shooter. Like, that's clearly just padding your stats because there's always a better free throw shooter on the court than you. And then LeBron also sometimes sags off on his man and sits on the block so he can get rebounds. That's another thing. Also because he's a good help defender, but you got to close out to the 3-point line, and sometimes his closeouts are really shitty. And then Wilt will oftentimes in game 5 against the Knicks, you can watch the game. It's on my playlist. Or the second half of it is. He will be hesitant to go and close out to shooters because he doesn't want to leave the paint for rebounds and blocks. That's a form of stat padding too. And then obviously shooting a lot. Then there's also this theory that he would not also the fouling out thing, where he was sometimes afraid to get offensive fouls because he never fouled out of a game in his life. That's an incredible in his career, which is an insane statistic for how many minutes he played. He never fouled out once. He got ejected one time in 62, but he never fouled out. And then another thing he does is he has this like there's sometimes I know he wanted to set the field goal record, and I know he wanted to lead the league in assists because people said that he was a selfish player, so he led the league in assists in 68. And then in 72, I think his last season of his career, he made sure he set a record for field goal percentage, 71. I know there were certain times where he didn't shoot when he had perfect shooting nights and all that type of shit. So there you go. Ben Hudson says, "Are the Warriors the favorites to come out of the West?" I'd say so. Luka or Book? I'm gonna go with Luka. His playmaking ability says him over the top. How do you feel about JJ Baby Dick as an analyst? I like how you're using my lingo. I think he's a really smart guy when it comes to the modern NBA. But when you start taking shots at past players, and he clearly doesn't know the rules about the ball handling rules and all that, talking about Bob Cousy didn't have a left hand, talking about Kyrie Irving would have been a wizard, all that. That's the shit that you hear on Twitter. That's the Gen Z narrative. And having Gen Z narratives in the media is only going to make basketball discourse worse. And what's so awful about it is everyone's propping this guy up like he's literally the second coming of fucking Christ. Oh my God, JJ Redick, he has saved basketball discourse. Thank God. What are we going to do without JJ? Shut the fuck up. Anyway, he got played off the floor by Joe Ingles in 2017. I don't want to hear it. Just curious, what do you dislike about Nick Wrong? He's a bronze sexual, but other than that, what are his terrible takes? A bronze sexual in the media is terrible in itself. That's your terrible take. He lies about the past. And also, he said Jokic was the least deserving MVP since Dave Cowens. First of all, why was Jokic not deserving last year? And what's your fucking problem with Dave Cowens? What a weirdo. Last question. Nick Wrong has really bad takes about Joker and Giannis. See, you just took the words out of my mouth talking about Joker. Facts. LOL. People ride JJ dick so hard. Yeah. I'm not going to be one of those. Anyway, guys, any last words? That's an hour mark. JJ Baby Dick is too funny to not use, especially since he's getting popular. I hope it gets to popular and helps your channel. Doubt it, man. Talking about another man's wiener doesn't go over well in today's PC society. Dude, I'd be afraid to tweet shit like that because people are like, they're on that PC wave. Like, I just got to be very careful. You know what I'm saying? One time I made a tweet. I called Stephen AIDS, and it was a joke. And a gay guy blocked me and then confronted me at a Clipper game about it. Like, that was a little much. So I'd be very cautious about what I tweet now since I have a bigger platform and I have like cool people that follow me. But anyway, that's it for me tonight, guys. I appreciate all the love. We'll see you tomorrow night. Hopefully this many people come out tomorrow. If you're here right now, come tomorrow. Come on. Don't be lame. All right. Peace.